Hello. Today I'm going to be sticking these polycarbonate sheets on this pergola right here. So you may have seen in the previous video about 2 weeks ago I built a carport slash pergola, and today I'm going to be putting these polycarbonate sheets on the roof. Now I've never done this job before, so to be honest with you I don't really have a clue what I'm doing, so just follow the video, watch all the mistakes I make and then just do the opposite and you shouldn't go far wrong. So let's get into it, shall we? And if you're wondering why I've got a million bits and pieces on these polycarbonate sheets, one of them took off like a sail a few days ago and went right away across the garden. So I've put about a million bits on there now to stop the wind taking it. Now the first thing I do is I get my two glazing bars and I attach them to the top of my rafters. These glazing bars basically let you attach your polycarbonate sheets together. I'll show you in more detail shortly how these work. Right then, here's the roof and here's the two glazing bars that are now in position. So next thing to do is get the polycarbonate sheet and set it between the two glazing bars. So I ended up having to trim off about 15mm off the sheet as it was slightly too big to fit between the glazing bars. Now that I've trimmed the sheet, let's go and pop it on the roof. Just a quick word of caution here, this isn't the easiest job to be doing, especially on your own, and it was a windy day too. So if you're going to do this, I'd recommend at least 2 people. Once I get the sheet into position, the next job to do is to drive in the screws, which I'm going to do now. So it's not an exact science, but I'm doing about a hand's width, so about there, drilling the hole with a 5mm drill bit, and get your screw, pop your screw on, and then drive it in. Pop cap on, job's a good one. And this wants to be face up, so it's got the UV protection on it, and I'm just peeling it off as I go and securing the screws. Okay, so that's all the screws now attaching the sheet to the rafter, so that's the middle one in. I'm now going to get the other two and I'm going to plonk them either side of that sheet and let's see how we get on. And I'm just going to reiterate this point, definitely don't do what I'm doing and try and do this on your own. These sheets are almost 1.7 meters wide and this wasn't my first attempt trying to get this sheet onto the roof. Looks a lot easier on a video, but trust me, it wasn't much fun. So anyway, now that drama's over with trying to get those sheets on the roof, the next job is to screw it down. So I'm just going along attaching the screws to the joists and I'm just using the board to lean on the roof at the minute. Okay, so that's all the roofing screws in now. So the next job is to get the glazing bar cap and to pop it on, and I'll show you how to do that now. So you're basically just inserting this piece into this channel here. So it's just as simple as going along the glazing bar, pushing it in nice and tight so you get a nice watertight seal. So that's the roof on now, let's get started with the guttering. So with the guttering I'm going to be spacing the brackets 850mm apart, and then there's going to be 7 brackets and they're going to go down in 10mm increments. So I measure up and I make the marks of where the brackets are going to go. Once I've done that I can start attaching my brackets. And once I get my brackets attached I can then start trimming the polycarbonate sheet, which I'm doing here. And I just use the circular saw with a long bit of board as a guide. Where the glazing bars are, there's a bit of a lip, so I just use my angle grinder to cut that piece off. Okay, so now that the sheets have been trimmed, I've got this anti-dust breather tape that I've got from the polycarbonate store, and I'm just applying this to the front of the sheet. And once you've got the breather tape on, I'm now going to try and get these end sheet closures onto the sheet. So I'm just going to try and slide it on as best I can. Now to tell you the truth, these weren't the easiest things in the world to put on. It actually took quite a bit of effort. Once they're on though, I just trim the edges flush with the carport. Okay, so now that the end enclosures are on, the next job is going to be to get the gutter in, which is just there, and to pop it into the brackets. So I'm going to do that now. So just snap the gutter into the clips. Then get your coupling bracket, which allows you to attach two pieces of guttering together, and just clip that in. Then I've measured and I'm now cutting the guttering to size. Then I just go down the line, snapping the clips onto the guttering. And then just whack a screw in there where the downspout is. Next I get my downpipe and put it into position, and then I make my mark where I need to do the cut. Then cut it with an angle grinder, put it back into position, and then I pop the elbows on. So it takes me 3 elbows to go round the post and back down the other side. And then I just do the finishing touches now. Right, so that's the downpipe installed now. It sort of bends round there, goes straight down to a shoe at the bottom. I don't know how well this area will drain, so it might need a French drain at some point if it gets a bit waterlogged, but that'll do for now. Let's get on with the last job, which is the flashing. Okay, so that's the flashing installed all the way along. So all I did was bought some trim from Amazon, it's 30 by 70 mil, and installed it with some screws and washers. And then I got some sealant, clear sealant, and that's run along the top bead there to keep it sealed. And then I've got some tape, some T-Rex tape, and that's just sealing off the bottom. So that seems to have done the trick. The hardest thing, to be honest with you, was dodging the seagull shite. They've been landing on that aerial, and I've been catching strays all day, to be honest. Why I got the cap on now. Got shite on my hair earlier on. Had to go have a shower, so that was fun. Anyway, that's the roof just about installed now, so I think that was the last job. So I just want to say, guys, this is the first time I've ever done a project like this for myself, and if I can do it, you can do it too. Just needs a bit of perseverance and you'll get there. So thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.